How many holes does a straw have? Don't worry, this isn't a trick question, but it is something to get your mind turning. Now, over the past few years, I've showed you a few different ways of taking attendance, but today we're taking a look at a different method that is transforming classrooms and solving a common problem. Welcome to the attendance question system. Here's how you've probably been doing the roll call. You reel off a list of names while your students respond with the usual present or here. Meanwhile, Johnny's wisecracks are derailing everyone's attention. Susie's corner group is far more interested in a TikTok video. Despite the chaos, you're desperately trying to complete the roll call, which is a tough act to follow from their last class where they learned about Zeus and his bizarre exploits. You do a little bit of class teaching and then outline what the students are going to be doing, only to be bombarded with a chorus of, "What are we doing?" Well, we can change that with the help of attendance questions. Remember the straw. How many holes do you think it has? I want you to think about your answer and come up with some reasoning. Convince me why you think it has the number of holes that you think it does. Take a moment, pause this video, head down to the comments and write your answer down there, and we'll discuss it towards the end of the video. That's an attendance question. First, let's go to slides.new. This will open up a new Google slide, and all you're going to do is delete this text box here. We'll put in a new text box, and we'll put in our attendance question. How many holes does a straw have? Let's highlight the whole thing, and then we'll go up to change our font. I like to use Montserrat Extra Bold, and then make it big. Let's go up to size 60, Control-Shift-E to center it, and this is what you'll be showing to your students up on the projector. So now that we have the attendance question up on the screen, how do we actually get the attendance from it? Well, let's open up a new browser tab, and we'll go to forms.new. In this untitled form, let's call this attendance question. We'll click up the top so that it automatically changes the file name, and we'll put in our questions. The first question here is name. We'll change the multiple choice to a short answer, and then click this plus to add a new question. The next question is going to be your answer, and if we click the plus, we can either say convince me, or we could use why do you think you're right, or however you want to ask it. That automatically changed to a long answer text. So now when we click on this eyeball, they can put in their name, which we can match to their email address. They can put in their answer and then their reasoning. So now that we have this information, we can go over here to our responses and click on link to sheets. I'm going to create a new spreadsheet. It's called attendance questions. Click create. This is what it looks like when it's created. You've got your timestamp, which is going to give you the day and time that the attendance question was completed, the email address, the name, the person's answer, and why they think you're right. This is what it looks like when it's all filled up. We can see that we have a bunch of different answers and the reasons. Down the bottom, we can see that we've got some other answers for the next question, being which superhero would you like to be for a day and why? Now you can see that we have the same titles up the top. Why do you think you're right? Doesn't really fit with the superheroes question, but the students get used to it anyway. Now that we have all of this data, we can use it to see who was present on which day, and we could use it as a discussion point to show the students what the other students in the class were thinking. So let's see how we can complete the attendance. First, we'll open up a new tab. Up the top, we'll put in the date. Let's put in the 20th of July, 2023. And now we're going to use a filter function. So we'll write equals filter, open a bracket, click back into form responses 1, and select this entire range from A to E. We'll put a comma, and then we'll write date value, open a bracket, click on the A header, equals, and then we'll go back to sheet 1 and click on B1. Press enter, and we get all of the responses that occurred on that date. I'm just going to push this down a little bit so we can get the titles. Copy those across, Control C and Control V. Let's give it a bold. Double click up the top so that it gives us the full length of the cell. And same with column B here. So now when your administrator asks where's your attendance, all you need to do is send them this list of emails. If they prefer names, then we can open up a new tab, call this our lists tab. Put in the student name, put in their email address, and I guess we'll need a student ID as well. Paste in the student's name, student ID, and email addresses. And now back in sheet 1, if you don't want this bit of information in here because your administrator won't really care about these answers, then we can go back to this cell up here and change A to E to A to C. So now it gives us the timestamp, the email address, the student's name that they put into the Google form, and we can also put in the student ID and full name. For the student ID, we'll use equals X lookup. Click on the email address, press F4 3 times, 1, 2, 3, to give that $ in front of the B. Press a comma, and then over in lists, we'll use this list here, C2 to C, press F4 once, and then a comma, and then the student ID. Backspace to give us the full list, and then F4. Missing value, we'll say not found. Match mode will be exact, so that'll be a 0. And search mode we don't care about, so we can press enter. We just need to double click on this, and it gives us the full list of student IDs. We can actually change the lists A2 to A to get rid of those $ in front of the A. So now when we copy this across to the next cell, it gives us the student's full name. Double click on the circle in the corner, and there's all of our students. These should match this name that they gave us. So we can do a quick check before we send it off. Let's put a count up the top, equals counter, and then select all of the timestamps. Press enter, and we get a count of 20 students in this class. So now you go around, count all the students in the class to make sure that you've got the right number, and you can send this off to your administrator. Now, it might sound a little bit complex at first, but once you've got it all set up, it works like a well-oiled machine. If we want to change the date, all we need to do is double-click on the date up the top, change it to the next day, and there's the attendance sorted. You just need to use your superpowers as a teacher to engage the students in the first few until they get used to it, and then it'll be a breeze. The students will be excited to get to your class to see what the next question is, and they'll be engaged in the rest of the lesson. And the community building part is looking at other people's responses to see what they were thinking about. If they agree, disagree, sometimes it brings up big debates in the classroom. So let's head back to our spreadsheet and we'll create a new sheet. So we'll go down the bottom, right click and click on duplicate. We'll call this one here responses. And then at the top, we'll just change this to A to E. We get a reference error, and that's because we've got these formulas over here. Let's just go ahead and delete all of those, and that brings up the full list. Now let's head back to the first day to see if your answers match the students. So here's our straw. John says that there's 2 holes, 1 at each end. Hiro says a straw is a tube. It's 1 long hole. And Charlie says that there's infinite number of holes. If you look at a microscopic level, there are tiny little holes in the material. So you can show these to the class and then get an overall picture. If we select all of these, go up to Insert Chart, it gives us a pie chart of what people were thinking. So most people thought there was 1 hole. About a third of people thought there were 2 holes. And then there was a few people that thought there was infinite number of holes or 0 holes. So there's different answers, and the way you think about it changes your answer. Now, there's good things about these questions. They're really easy to access for all students of all levels, but they can get really deep. We saw Anjali talk about microscopic levels of holes all throughout the material. And there are no wrong answers. I don't know how many holes there are, depending on which context. In a mathematical context, you're talking about topology, so you'll talk about that. But you don't even need to go that deep. There is no right answer, so you're not going to tell the students that they're wrong. All their ideas are creative, and that's what you need to focus on. Now, if you don't have the time to come up with all of these attendance questions, don't worry, because if you look down in the description below, you'll find a link where you can get access to my curated list of attendance questions. If you also need any more help with Google Sheets, then make sure you subscribe to this channel. Check out the tips and tricks newsletter down in the description, where I'll also be posting updates for my courses that I'll have available just for you. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.